Hey guys, this is Ponce on the PvE, back with another mid-year Mage update video. This time we'll be talking about Vel'Koz, Cassiopeia, and Brand. Previously we did Malzahar, Zyra, and Vladimir, so if you're interested in that, description, annotations, you'll find a link somewhere to that. So this one we're going with slightly more kind of like basic bursty sort of mages, though they do have some changes. And as I said, we're starting with Vel'Koz here, so let's quickly go over his abilities. A lot of them are the same, you're going to see a lot of familiar things, but there are a number of minor changes. First off, organic deconstruction, his old passive, that functions more or less the same. There is a weird interaction with his ult, which we'll get to in a minute, but it appears this actually scales with AP now. I'm not actually sure on the exact numbers in terms of how it scales per level. It looks roughly the same, actually. It's just, yeah, if you build heavy AP, you're going to be dealing more true damage. It's quite interesting. Plasma fission, this has changed a little bit, or I suppose of all the abilities I guess it's changed the most, but Vel'Koz shoots a plasma bolt that deals magic damage and applies a slow of 70%, decays over 1.75 seconds. Upon reactivation or upon hitting an enemy, the bolt splits at a 90-degree angle. So that part, actually, what they did change is the indicator here. See that thing? That actually doesn't show up for the enemy person now. Like, I guess there really was no reason for that to show up for the enemy. It's kind of weird that it did. But and now you shoot off, and it doesn't alert the enemy in terms of the maximum distance, or this thing is going to show up, you know, stuff like that. Also, another interesting change, killing an enemy unit with this refunds 50% of the mana cost. I checked this. You can actually kill multiple targets with this, and it will actually give you extra mana back. So I can actually kill all these little birds here. Let's just set them up like this, and I'll show you. Oh, I gotta spend mana so you can actually see it. But whoops. So if I kill, oh no, they're running away. It's a little bit annoying to do, but stack them this way, like that, like so, and then if I do this, yeah, I get 150% mana. Well, that I missed that guy, so I only got 100% back. So you can actually gain mana with this spell if you use it well enough. It is a bit tricky. And the thing I find kind of odd about this is actually it feels like Riot's actually pushing you towards getting Q, like Plasma Fission, over the W. I believe Plasma Fission is usually what people get. I actually really enjoyed the W max playstyle, getting lots of points into Void Rift, but yeah, I'd probably just end up going Plasma Rift myself now. I know when you're support Vel'Koz, I believe people are supposed to do Plasma Fission Q max. I don't normally do that. When I play Vel'Koz, I play mid, and it's too bad. I really do enjoy Void Rift, but whatever, it's still there. Incidentally, Void Rift, yes, still there, does the same thing. Moving on. Tectonic Disruption, that looks like it's essentially the same. Not going to worry about that. The other thing that was changed was his ult, Lifeform Disintegration Ray. So passive deconstructing enemy champions, researches them for 7 seconds. Basic attacks and all abilities refresh research. And so the actual active, that's more or less the same. Vel'Koz channels, or is the same. Vel'Koz channels a ray of energy that follows the cursor for 2.5 seconds, dealing magic damage up to a total of, you know, whatever, magic damage with scaling, and slows units by 20%. Deals true damage against researched units. So basically the difference here is that this doesn't keep refreshing stacks on organic deconstruction as passive. You actually have to trigger it first, get them into the research state, and then you can deal true damage against them. So let me just do that like this. So as you can see, now she's research, and then I can shoot this ray at her like that. And this thing is just dealing true damage, which is pretty crazy. Now she's a squishy anyway, so it doesn't matter, but anyway, so yeah, that's the Vel'Koz, you know, sort of pseudo rework thing. Not a massive amount of changes, but a nice, you know, kind of little boosts here and there. I'm actually surprised these are more or less basically straight up buffs. I mean, it does introduce an element of, I guess, skill or something to his ult. It's not just kind of a fire and forget. You have to set it up. But his Q is just straight up better. I believe his passive is better. So, yeah. When Riot was initially talking about this Vel'Koz update, they basically were saying Vel'Koz isn't very good, we're just going to buff him a bit. I guess I should have expected something like this. But anyway, moving on to Cassiopeia, she's got some interesting things going on with her, so yeah. Up next is Cassiopeia with a number of interesting changes, so let's take a look at her passive first, Serpent's Grace. Cassiopeia gains a certain amount of movement speed, 4 per level, so I have 60 because of my current level. Cassiopeia cannot purchase boots items, so it's kind of interesting. As you can see, if I go to like boots, they just won't let me buy them, which is kind of funny, I guess. So that replaces her whole wonky kind of poison stacked system thing she used to have, which was in and of itself kind of a pseudo rework they did a while ago. So they've been working on this champion a lot. Next we have Noxious Blast. Not too much different here. Like it's still that boom, you know, set it off, delayed poison explosion thing. Her W is quite a bit different. It's not just like that poison pool that just sits there now, the kind of boring one. This thing is actually now called, well, it's still called Miasma, but Cassiopeia spews venom in an arc in front of her, leaving toxic clouds for 4 seconds at max range or at terrain hit. Enemies in the cloud are continuously afflicted with debilitating poison, slowing them by 35% and grounding them, prohibiting the use of movement abilities. They also take a certain amount of magic damage per second. So it's kind of interesting. It's actually kind of hard to aim. You can't just do it at a minimum distance. So if I target here, it's going to go to that max distance there regardless. So let's see, I'll show you there. It's all going to go right there, despite the fact that my cursor is right here. So yeah, it creates this thing right here. And if an enemy is in it, they can't use like movement abilities. Quite interesting. So, I'm not 100% certain what that encompasses, but I imagine it's basically, if not exactly the same as Poppy's ability, the thing that prevents dashes and stuff like that. So, interesting stuff there. Twin Fang functions similarly, but has some subtle differences. I'll just read it out. Deal magic damage to a target. If the target is killed by Twin Fang, or is killed during its flight, Cassiopeia gains 80 mana. So the mana return thing is still there. The numbers are a bit different, but again, don't worry about numbers too much. Early PB stuff gets changed. If the victim is poisoned when Twin Fang hits, it takes additional magic damage, and Cassiopeia heals for a certain amount. So basically, if you look at the damage on this, I have it at 5 ranks. If you just cast it and the person's not poisoned, you deal kind of pretty garbage damage. But the cooldown is always like super low. You don't have to do the poison thing to get the lower cooldown. So you can just, sit here spamming a crappier version of the spell like so all day. It just doesn't deal very much. But of course, the instant you poison something, it essentially kind of doubles the damage, and it's quite good.
Every problem is an opportunity.
The ult is also basically the same. Don't worry about the ult. It's still the old petrifying gaze thing. It's slow if they're looking the other way. Looking at you, they get stunned.
I'll take care of
so let me show you guys something here. It's actually kind of interesting in that, if you ever missed with a Noxious Blast because the person was moving around a lot, it's like, oh, I suck at the thing, I can't hit them. Then you're kind of stuck without an option to poison them very much. Because you can't just, do the fire and forget W thing. This actually goes to max range, so you can't put it on top of them or anything like that. So, she's kind of slowed. You really going to run away? Get back here. So anyway, had I hit her with, or rather, I hit her with the W at max range, right? That means during the time she was in there, she was actually unable to use, like, sort of movement dash type abilities. But, it was misfortune. She doesn't have any anyway, so it wasn't relevant, but... yeah, interesting little set of changes there. Not like super drastic, and everything in terms of her kit kind of still more or less functions in a similar way. Just sort of things have been shuffled around quite a bit. And obviously Miasma is sort of completely new. And the boots thing is funny, I guess. But anyway, save her some money. So yeah, next we have, who was it? Let me check my notes here. Oh, Brand. All right, so moving on to Brand. Alright, last up for this mid-year Mage update preview video is Brand. Now, he hasn't actually changed a hell of a lot. It mostly has to do with his passive and just sort of how he works in relation to that. But, let's just read what it does here. Blaze. Brand spells light his targets ablaze, dealing 2% of their maximum health in magic damage over 4 seconds, and empowering his abilities against them. Blaze stacks up to 3 times. When Blaze reaches max stacks on a champion or large monster, then Blaze becomes unstable. It detonates in 2 seconds, dealing 16% plus, AP ratio percentage magic damage of each nearby enemy's maximum health in magic damage. That champion cannot stack Blaze again within 4 seconds. So you might notice that each stack of that whole Blaze thing is actually significantly less than the old version. I believe if you hit anyone with the spell, they automatically would take 8% damage. Now this thing stacks up, and it's sort of like a combo mage thing, which makes a lot more sense with how Brand works. Like, Brand was supposed to be kind of a combo mage, but he had this really strong poke mechanic where you hit a person once and they would take 8% damage, and that was just kind of free like that. But yeah, other than that, his spells really haven't actually changed all that much. There's a couple very minor number changes, I believe. I think Seer might have slightly less base damage or something like that. But anyway, I'll show you how that works exactly. So you'll see this big ring explosion thing in a second. And let's get it away from the minions so it's a bit easier to see. So you see that's going to go off like that. Boom. There you have it. So instantly, that big ring you guys just saw around here, that will actually stack up his passive on anyone else nearby. But, you know, of course, that's why that, or partially one of the reasons why that whole, this champion cannot stack blaze again within 4 seconds. You can't, you know, get this chain reaction thing that keeps going around and blowing everyone up repeatedly. Also because of his ult, which I'll talk about in a moment. But, yeah, pretty big burst sort of, yeah, combo type thing going on with him there. Lastly, his Pyroclasm has changed a little bit. I think the damage is lower. It bounces prioritize stacking blaze on max champions. So basically, it prioritizes things better, and then it sort of interacts with his passive better, but just as a straight up thing, it tends to deal less damage. Yeah, so that's kind of it there. Brand, not a major change, but in a similar sense to a lot of the other champions. You know, there weren't these huge changes, but an interesting little kind of, I don't know, nudge in a more unique direction for them. Like, these champions tended to have elements that were kind of interesting for them, and it's really sort of pushing them more in that direction. So, yeah, that's a nice start for this mid-year Mage update stuff. Like I said, the numbers probably going to change here and there on a bunch of champions, so I don't want to worry about that too much. But, yeah, Vel'Koz, Cassiopeia, Brand in this video. And the previous video I just uploaded was, of course, Malzahar, Zyra, Vlad. So if you're interested in that, that'll be available in the description below and the annotations already, because that one was uploaded first. So, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And aside from that, I guess I need to still upload a dragon video about the whole new, the new elemental dragons. But, yeah, thanks for watching again, and I'll see you around.